Well, hey there, you little chickpeas and lima beans. It's me, Pastor Brad.
Hello?
You're welcome. You're welcome. Welcome back to another episode of Breaking Bread with Brad. Today I'm breaking bread with you. Kind of. So I actually already had dinner. It was amazing. I made delicious turkey burgers with sun-dried tomato aioli on a bed of lettuce that we grew, well, mostly Cassie grew, which was great. So instead, I have not a power smoothie, as you might be able to see. I don't know if you can see that or not. But instead, I have coffee with oat milk instead of cow's milk or dairy. And I have to say, oat milk in coffee is way better. Way better. So let me just take a sip of that. Oh, delicious. Anyways, what do you have? No. It's not as good as mine, or as good as mine was. So, as you may have heard in the last episode, we took a long break because I went on vacation with the fam to North Carolina. Now, my wife, Cassie, is from there, and so we visited her brother and his wife, so my sister-in-law, and their 3 kids, and it was quite nice. The kids got along, mostly, fairly well, and at one point, I had my oldest son, Mark, and their youngest son. The girls were out doing some shopping, and I was just like, boys, let's go do something. So we shopped around, and we went around, and we ended up going miniature golfing. And I was showing my brother-in-law, his son, I was showing him how to miniature golf, like, all right, hit it like that. And so I then turn around to make sure that Mark is good and where he needs to be. And I then turn around and hole in one. First hit! Hole in one! I was a little just like, all right, next hole. And they cheated on every single hole after that, both of them. Quick shout out to my brother-in-law who works for Roof Doctor in North Carolina. Is your roof under the weather? Call the roof doctor. Anywho, one of the reasons that my wife and sister-in-law went shopping is because there was a death in the family on my wife's side, and she had to go to Arkansas for a funeral. And so that's how I ended up with just those 2 boys. Fast forward a little bit, Cassie drove to Arkansas from North Carolina. Excuse me. And good turkey burgers. Taste that again. Sometimes when you taste your food again, it's awesome. Most of the time, though, stay away. Anyways, oh, now I got hiccups. Give me a second. Oat milk coffee. To the rescue. On a side note, this is my office. Do you see how pretty this is? I made this myself. It's not magic, don't worry. Anyways, so basically I drove the boys. It was just me and the boys, and we drove home by ourselves from North Carolina to Connecticut. And it took less than 12 hours to do.
Yay!
We were able to drive through Washington, D.C. There was like 0 traffic, just about. It was absolutely amazing. And so when I did get home, I was exhausted, but when I did get home, I wanted to make sure that the house was presentable for my wife. I wanted to make sure that the clothes were done and put away, that the toys were picked up, things were cleaned and swept and mopped, and it was a very long couple of days. And the reason that I wanted to do this, because I just wanted to serve my wife. I wanted her to know that I loved her through this act of service. And that actually brings me to the topic of what we're going to be talking about, the discipline of service. And as always, as you probably could tell, I need to read from what I'm going to be saying because I want to make sure that I stay on task. So what I will be reading is... Anyways. So this is the last of the outward disciplines, the discipline of service. And this discipline requires a lot, if not the most, humility. So let's begin humbly, if we will. Now, we learned last time about submission. And if the cross is a symbol of submission, then the towel is the symbol of service. Let's put it this way. I'm just gonna fold this up here. Here we go. You ever see that? Like a waiter or a service person, waiter or waitress, kind of just like, how may I serve you? Kind of thing. If our posture before God is a bended knee, and we're praying to Him, we're bowing down before Him, then our posture before humankind, again, is a towel across our arm. It's a towel across our arm. Now, I encourage you to get the book Celebration of Discipline. I'm going to try to put a picture of it here. Get the book Celebration of Discipline by Richard J. Foster, because again, we do an overview of the book. The book is going to help you get into much thicker, deeper details. So, again, get the book. It'll help you meditate on it. Now, you see, the disciples, they were always arguing about who amongst them was the greatest. In fact, Luke 9:46 says, and an argument arose. I'm sorry, let me try again. Luke 9:46, and an argument broke amongst them as to which of them was the greatest. But isn't that how all of us are, though? Most of us will never be the greatest. Just don't let us be the least. I don't want to be the worst. If I don't have to be the best, at least I don't want to be the worst. But the disciples, they never argued who was the least. They just argued who was the best. Who was the best servant, if you will. You see, in service, we must experience little deaths. Little tiny deaths within ourselves. The death of pride and self-righteousness and the desire to be the best to everyone around us. So how did Jesus respond when his friends all around him were arguing about who was the best? Stay tuned for that answer after a quick word from our sponsor. How may I serve you? A quick word. Very well. Just a moment, and I will be right out with that quick word. Quick word! Okay. My hair's a little crazy. I need another quarantine cut. I know that some of the barbershops are open again, and this is again crazy. Anyhoot, I do want to bring attention real quick to the difference between self-righteous service and true service. See, self-service requires external rewards. It needs to know that people see and appreciate their effort, like filming a good deed and sharing it for all to see. True service is perfectly fine with being hidden from the spotlight of good deeds and from other people seeing. Like, it's okay doing good things just to do good things and not to show other people. Self-service is highly concerned about results. Now, you really hope that whoever you serve will serve you back. That's basically what's going to happen. I serve you, you serve me. That's how it's going to be. He.
You don't see that every day.
True service doesn't care if it will get anything out of it. You serve to serve. That's just what you're doing. Self-serve picks and chooses who it will serve. Sometimes the high and powerful are served because that may cause an advantage in your life. Sometimes the low and defenseless are served because, let's face it, makes a good photo. But true serve takes Mark 9:35 to heart, which calls us to be a servant of all. Of all. Who is all? Everyone. The high and powerful, the low and defenseless. All of them. Self-serve is affected by moods and whims. You only help when you feel like helping out, which, let's just face it, is not very often. True serve helps simply because there is a need. Okay? Self-service is temporary. You only serve here and there at moments and different times. True serve is a lifestyle. You can serve at any moment. It doesn't matter what the time is. You're going to help out. You're going to do it. I think I skipped too far ahead in my notes. No, did I not? Self-serve is insensitive. You have to help even if you're not asked to. It demands the opportunity to help, and it doesn't take no for an answer. I'm going to help you whether you want me to or not. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Do you? Do you? True serve is perfectly fine being used or not being used. It's not easily offended. Self-serve fractures community. It puts others into debt because of the service you provided. It's a for-profit organization of self, if you will. I'm not saying that for-profit organizations are bad, but they are there to make a profit, and that's fine, but not during service. True serve is like a non-profit organization. It's not there to make a profit, but to serve others. Now, I mentioned earlier that the discipline of service is pretty much the most beneficial to bringing about humility in your life. How? Well, it helps with getting rid of what 1 John 2:16 refers to as the lusts of the flesh, the lusts of the eyes, and the pride of life. You see, most of us probably think of the lust of the flesh as something to do with sexual sin. And while I'm sure that is part of it, that's definitely part of it, it's not all of it. The lust of the flesh is a reference to the failure to discipline the normal human passions. Passions. Get away. So, what exactly were the lusts of the flesh? Well, it was exactly what the disciples were arguing about. Who's going to be the best? Or really the lust to not be the least, if you will. So how did Jesus respond to their arguing? He gathered them all around, sat them down one by one, and began to wash their feet. Just wash their feet. You know how it goes? Just wash the feet. Wash the feet. See, washing the feet was reserved for the person who was the lowest among the group. Feet that were caked in mud and probably poop. Who wants to do that? Who wants to clean their friend's feet, knowing that that position is reserved for the least amongst the whole group? I can only imagine how dirty the disciples' feet were constantly because no one ever wanted to wash their feet. You see, are you familiar with the pecking order of chickens? See, basically, if you put a bunch of chickens in a room, give it like 5 to 10 minutes, and it will become apparent who amongst the chickens is the greatest chicken. If you will, they'll be pecking upon others until the one that is either the least pecked or honestly, I don't exactly know how it works, but all I know is pecking is involved with who's going to be the greatest chicken. Now, not only does Jesus show us by washing the feet of his disciples, those that were even under him, that Christians aren't really to participate in the pecking order behavior and asserting dominance over others, but he totally demolishes it. Like, gone, away, no more. We're done. Done. We're not doing it. No. Amongst everyone there, Jesus was clearly the greatest. Clearly, and yet he does the lowest job, completely revamping what leadership looked like. Serving. Service. Peter then comes over yelling, "No way, Jesus. Not going to happen. You ain't washing my feet. You ain't going to do it. No way." And a lot of people might think that that is a statement of humility. Like, Jesus is not going to wash my feet. He's just too awesome to do that. No way. But really, it wasn't a statement of humility. It was a statement of pride. Because if Jesus was going to wash people's feet, Peter was going to have to wash feet as well. And Peter was not about that life. At least not yet. It's time for a commercial break. So every once in a while, you see something that just kind of gets you excited. It's a small thing. It's usually the small things that get you really excited. And what got me really excited is when I saw Lucky Charms cereal. Y'all, it is so delicious. Imagine an ice cream made with the world's favorite marshmallows. It's so good. Now, it's one thing to act like a servant, it's another thing to be a servant. And I want to read to you from the book. The following is a true story. My computer almost just fell to the ground. That would have been miserable. Please don't fall. We're good. Okay. Woo! Don't fall again, please. I'm shaking it a little bit. Okay. Back to it. I gotta find my page now. Fast forward. The following, again, is a true story. During the frantic final throes of writing my doctoral dissertation, I received a phone call from a friend. Ding, ding, ding. His wife had taken the car, and he wondered if I could take him on a number of errands. Trapped. I consented inwardly, cursing my luck. As I ran out the door, I grabbed Bonhoeffer's Life Together, a book, thinking that I might have the opportunity to read it. Through each errand, I inwardly fretted and fumed at the loss of precious time. Finally, at a supermarket, the final stop, I waved my friend on, saying I would wait in the car. I picked up my book, opened it to the marker, and read these words. The second service that one should perform for another in a Christian community is that of active helpfulness. This means, initially, simple assistance in trifling external matters. There is a multitude of these things wherever people live together. Nobody is too good for the meanest service. One who worries about the loss of time, that such petty. That read weird, I'm sorry. Outward acts of helpfulness entail is usually taking the importance of his own career too solemnly. In other words, large tasks require great sacrifice for a moment. Again, large tasks require great sacrifice for a moment. Small things require constant sacrifice because there's a lot more small things to do than large things. This moved around a little bit. I'm just going to try to fix this. I'll be back. Here I am. Anyways, I also read of a couple who wanted to live a service life, a life of service. And any given month, they might have up to 70 people come through their home in a month. And we might not be able to do that, but we can do something, right? Something. You know, in the Bible, you can read about a woman by the name of Martha who always seemed to be serving, giving, always, all the time. And Mary, on the other hand, spent most of her time around Jesus and what he had to say. And which one did Jesus want, actually? I want to read to you from the book again. I'll be right back. All right, page number 138. Reads like this. Where is it? Sometimes we limit ourselves because we make hospitality too complicated. I remember an occasion where the hostess was scurrying around, attending to this and that, sincerely wanting to make everyone feel comfortable. A lot like Martha. My friend startled us all and put everyone at ease by saying, and I think this is kind of what Jesus was kind of saying to Martha as well at points, Helen, I don't want any coffee. I don't want any tea. I don't want any cookies. I don't want a napkin. I just want to visit. Won't you sit down and talk to us? Just a chance to be together and share. That is the stuff of hospitality. Hospitality is one way of serving others. We can find, or rather, I want to close with just one more, but not the only way to serve others. We can find it in Galatians 6:2, which says, bear one another's burdens and so fulfill the law of Christ. You see, we need to learn to help others in their burdens, but not letting their burdens consume us. Like we can't be destroyed by their burdens, by other people's burdens. Jesus took on the sin of the world. And even he says that his burden is easy and his yoke is light. He says his yoke is easy and his burden is light. The best way to bear another's burdens is to show them how to cast their cares upon Jesus. Okay? Again, Jesus wants us to help bear the burdens of others. Share the load, as Samwise Gamgee would say. And actually, as he was carrying Frodo up the mountain, it's still this, I don't know. I'm sorry, this background seemed to change as my computer was falling. It's okay though. But as Samwise Gamgee was carrying his friend Frodo up the mountain, he is quoted to say this. But first, let me drink some coffee. If I can't carry it for you, then I'll carry you. And carry others is how Jesus wants us to serve others in bearing burdens. Not take it into ourselves, but show them how to bring all of this stuff to the Savior of their souls. Cast the ring down. Okay? Perhaps we should begin each day with this prayer. Lord Jesus, as it would please you, bring me someone that I can serve today. I mean, it's honestly that simple. Well, that's all for today. This has been another wonderful episode, I hope, of Breaking Bread with Brad. I hope you learned plenty and enough about service and serving others in this discipline. Tune in next week as we enter into the corporate discipline, starting with the discipline of confession, then worship, guidance, and celebration. As always, I love you. I even like you. Be safe. Serve. Dios te bendiga.